Oh shit! And I still haven't got my intro up. Thanks again. Brilliant intro to my about the by making capital. Let's try again. Yes, indeed. That is what happens when you just have to go stream live. Try again. Oh, seems like I've got this on as
yes,
well. Good. So, welcome to another episode of With Enough Prep Time. I'm your host, the Nerd Man, and today we're talking about a couple of stars and good things, all the good things: sexual misconduct, assault, uh, Me Too. And I'm here today with Warren to discuss all of the latest with regarding this. Warren, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Good. Yeah, I mean, you heard about the Gal Gadot thing today, right?
I mean, I've heard it before on MS. I mean, I've heard this rumor before, so I'm fresh with this one. Not fresh. I'm caught up with this one. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna, we're gonna react live. Obviously, there's also the thing with Noel Clark. There's been a little bit more of development on that side of things with the whole Noel Clark episode. So we're going to be reading some of the allegations against him as well today. But yeah, mainly, we'll be focusing on both. I think mainly Noel Clark because the Gal Gadot thing is pretty, straightforward and what we probably all thought. But I'd like to get your thoughts on it. So here we go. So Justice League star Gal Gadot confirms Joss Whedon told me he will finish my career. So if you could scroll down, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. So Wonder Woman 1984 star Gal Gadot has so far kept quiet about her experiences on the set of Whedon's Justice League reshoots in 2017, issuing only a brief statement through her reps. However, in an interview with Israeli website Moko, the actress finally broke her statement with a brief statement regarding, this is a great writing, broke her statement with a brief statement.
Good grammar.
Regarding the filmmaker's conduct. Ray Fisher, our man Ray Fisher must be happy about this. Ray Fisher has talked openly about Whedon with an expose from the Hollywood Reporter, shedding even more light on his disturbing behavior.
These people, such verbs.
Yeah, right. What an adjective. So in that, it was revealed that Whedon threatened to harm Gadot's career and disparage Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins. One source told her the trade. I love the way they've kept on saying that he did this to Gadot's career, or said he'd do this to Gadot's career, and disparage Patty Jenkins. But at the same time, there's no proof or evidence that he did this. She's only saying in this, all she we'll hear the quote here of what she actually says happened, and she says no more. Literally gives no more details. One source even told the trade that Josh was bragging that he's had it out with Gal. He told her he's the writer and she's going to shut up and say the lines, and he can make her look incredibly stupid in this movie. Again, this is not what she said, guys. They've just added this as a little bit of creative flourishes to the story. So Gadot confirmed by saying, translated via the direct, this is exactly what she said. Josh Whedon told me he will finish my career. He told me directly that if I do something, he will make sure my career will be miserable. I took care of it right away. An alternate translation doing the rounds reads, he kind of threatened my career and said if I did something, he would make my career miserable, and I just took care of it instead. That's what she said, right?
Right.
Okay. So first of all, I want to say bravo to the interviewer of this fucking this interviewer who did this fucking interview. Just has this brilliant moment with Gal Gadot, exclusive first time of her admitting precisely what Josh Whedon does. No follow up question.
No follow up. No
No
image.
follow up question. Oh, yeah. Go on. Sorry, Warren.
No voice recording. No images. No nothing.
Oh no, it is recorded. To be fair to him, I think the interview is recorded. But I mean, what a journalist! I mean, bravo! I mean, journalism these fucking days. If Gal Gadot said that to you, wouldn't you want her to like expand on that a little bit? Don't you think? Like, oh, really? So exactly what did he want you to do? Right? Like,
What was the situation?
yeah, what was the situation? Can you expand on that a bit? Do you care to expand on that a bit? At least just like what did you not want to do? Or hey, like was there creative differences on the set of Justice League? What was the way you wanted to present Wonder Woman versus what he wanted to do? There's a whole minefield of stuff you could have got from this to make this like one of the hottest stories around, and this fucking loser journalist doesn't ask a fucking follow-up question.
Yeah, it's kind of, this is why I said, like, it's funny. They always say you thought the crime came before the punishment. So like we don't even get like we don't even have more multiple people coming up and saying it. It's just her. She's saying what she said. Fair enough. I know in another article she basically went up to higher management and said that she didn't agree with Josh, but this is what
Yeah.
she's saying. But like you're right. You need to. My thing is, did he think? My only um, my only sense of neutrality is like, did he think if he pressed her, she might have exposed herself?
How do you mean?
For instance, like, so tell us what the conversation was. Was there anybody around you when this occurred, or was it only you and Josh in
Oh,
a separate?
I don't mean. Sorry, just so that everybody understands. Like, get this straight. I believe Gal Gadot. I'm not saying I don't believe her. I still, if sending out vague accusations like this, I still feel is kind of wrong. Even though I respect Gal Gadot a lot and I love her as Wonder Woman, and I'm just a big fan of her, just her attitude towards what her approach towards how she's been with this character, and how she's been as a celebrity. I've always rolled for like for Gal Gadot. Even when she did that stupid Imagine video, I was like, why is everyone like freaking out? Like, it's so what, she sang Imagine. Like, who gives a shit? I don't know how you felt about that, but I was just like, why is everyone making all these fucking videos about it? So I
Press.
believe. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, we could talk about that after, but no, I believe her. I still would rather have proof and evidence
Yeah,
of
that's
this.
that's what I'm
But
saying. Like,
since
what
she's answering a question, I mean, I think it's fair enough. She's just answering a question, and she's answering. So I don't think that the journalist should therefore go, "Oh, have you got proof of this? Can you prove this?" And blah blah blah. I don't think that's really appropriate. What I do think is appropriate as a journalist is to get her side of the story,
Well,
right? Like,
if this is an interview being done, and you're reporting it, so it's not out of the realm of asked. It's a legitimate question now. Whether or not she takes offense to it is what is going to be determining. And I'm not saying she's accusing it, not accusing. I'm not saying she's wrong, and Josh might have not done this or what have you. I'm just saying these are like follow up things, like, because in the work environment, when someone's of a higher position and he's alone with a woman, it's you don't it's your job is on the line, believe it or not, as a man in that sense. And I'm not giving Josh the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying, was there anybody around this way? You'd be like, oh yeah, maybe there was this, like,
Yeah, but
because maybe
what I'm saying to you is like I get what you're saying, but that's more for people. Like that should be an investigation for, say, Warner Brothers to do, or a journalist should just want to get as much of the story as possible, right? Like you don't just allow somebody to just say, oh, he told me he'd finished my career and and make my life miserable, and I took care of it right away. I know she herself is trying to be very measured about it, and like almost like she doesn't want to talk about it anymore. But still, I mean, this is of interest to the world, right? And you're a journalist, and you want your article to be as popular as possible and to make a name for yourself as a journalist. Surely you'd want a follow-up question to that, like, oh, so what was the scene? Like just stuff like that. Just like, what was the scene? Like, what did he want you to do? Because it could have been something really, really inappropriate or something like that. And then you want to get more information about that. So that's my view of it. I don't think he can. I mean, what do you mean? Like, ask her for proof? I mean, how can she prove it? Like right now? Oh, I'll phone my friend who was there on set. It's just like.
Well, like
No, I don't think that's.
It's funny because you mentioned I think we're on the same page because you mentioned what was the scene like. That's like the same thing. Like what led up to him? Like a follow up question would have been like, hey, what led up to this exchange between you two? I mean, that's because then that gives more context behind why, and maybe what he said might have not. We don't know what he said. Maybe it might have been something small and minute, but she took it over the top, and maybe it was. But and if we got that context, we'd be like, okay, I could see how that's pushing your boundaries as a director. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
of course. And I like, look, I think in the context of like what Ray Fisher has been talking about recently. Again, I still think Ray Fisher used this as an opportunity to try and get rid of the people who he saw as enemies to Zack Snyder. I think that it started off as something real, which is Josh Whedon was being unprofessional on set. He was an asshole. Perhaps Jeff Johns and other higher ups didn't do as much about it as they should have done, but they weren't like directly responsible in the way that, oh, they should be fired and cancelled and all of that kind of stuff. They just were like, let the man make his movie, right? And we're not going to get too involved. And Ray Fisher wanted to use that to get rid of Toby Emmerich, to get rid of Jeff Johns, and he realized, actually, I don't have enough. I can't just say, oh, they enabled this behavior. I have to bring them into the behavior as well. And I think that's where he kind of went over the line, right? But in the context of what Ray Fisher has really been saying, again, this journalist just did a terrible job. I mean, was the journalist not aware that this had become a big issue, like all the things that had happened on the set of Justice League, and to get as many nuggets as you can of information out of this, out of one of the key players in this, probably the most beloved character in the whole fucking thing, or actress in that film. You don't want to get more information, just like a little bit more, even if she just even feels like she doesn't want to speak about it, just get like a couple more things, a couple more hints at what happened there. That's where I think this is just like really poorly done journalism, and that's my main issue with it. Like I've got the feeling from now that definitely Josh Whedon is like the main problem. Like he was the main problem on this set. He was an asshole. The power went to his head. I still haven't read anything or seen anything that makes me feel. I mean, this one is bad, like threatening someone's career, and it really depends on what he wanted her to do as to how bad this is.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like uh, this guy didn't even have to um go in depth, right? He could have just been like, "Well, what did he require of you, or what was the exchange between?" And that would have been
Yeah.
enough, because then we, as the reader, would pass judgment ourselves, and then we could uh figure out from there, like, okay, this is bad, etc., etc. So, um, I
Yeah,
I and the thing is, some of these articles from these places, I don't know if they're allotted only a few questions to, because of the I mean, like, if this was like a Hollywood Reporter, I think this would be like a different article. You know what I mean?
yes,
But
carry on. Sorry, I was listening to you.
oh, no, that's all. That's all I'm saying. Like let's say this was like done off of one of the
Hollywood.
bigger, like Entertainment Weekly or Hollywood Reporter or something like that. I think she would, given the you could say, prestige of that magazine and the reputation, she would be more inclined to give more information.
Well, it looks to me like she did this in Israel, and I would imagine that she'd be more open to speaking to, her fellow countrymen. It's an Israeli interview. It's out of Hollywood. Maybe in her mind, she thought, this isn't even going to get back to, Hollywood, because it's just like some small thing in Israel.
Oh, no way! It's you're
No,
Wonder Woman of. There's no way. Things like this always goes back.
no, I know, but I'm saying I think in her kind of naivety, like she probably was like, I'll just like give this Israeli guy So I think she might have been more open to speaking to this person than she would to someone in the Hollywood Reporter, because if it's in the Hollywood Reporter, it's big real quick.
Right.
It blows up really quickly. Just to get to some of these comments here, I believe Gal More Than Ray. Hi, by the way, Super Wise Man. Peace. She's a
See there.
proven liar. Cough, cough. Ray Fisher. Wish there was more solid, indisputable proof, though. Ray Fisher is the best actor in all of Hollywood. Gal is the best female actor full time. I believe anything and everything they say. Oh dear. So shut up. Ray Fisher is told the truth all the time, though. Right. So you think Ray Fisher has told the truth all the time? Is what you're trying to say? Yeah. Because okay. I stand with hashtag. I stand with Ray Fisher. Okay, hashtag. I stand with Ray
Jason,
Fisher.
Jason, you have to be trolling. There's no way you have to be trolling.
Trolling. Hard Rio. Yeah, I think he's doing some kind of Hadouken or something. All right. So I mean, do you have anything else to say? I basically believe her. I mean, I'm not like.
I mean, I believe her. I mean, she doesn't seem like the type of actress to just make a false, like, for instance. I mean, this was on the set of the Justice League, right? I she didn't. Outside of this, I don't think she's had any other controversial thing, like on Twitter or her career at this point, or venture. So I have to just, that saying, if you assume you're a jackass. Well, I'm gonna assume that she is telling the truth, because I haven't seen anything from her past.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically that's it. Really, it's kind of, to me, like one of those obvious ones that I mean, I'd still, if I was going to condemn him for it, I'd still need proof. I that's an absolute for me. I will never condemn anyone without having some kind of proof, or but
Right.
there's a lot of, or like evidence, or like but there's a lot of things here now that are pointing towards Josh Whedon just not being the nicest guy. Again, with this one, people are going to be running, as I said, like in the beginning, that if you looked at the whole article, it was like putting in a bunch of stuff that Gal Gadot hadn't said, and just using it as like, now this is fact because Gal Gadot said he threatened my career. That does not mean that he was mocking Patty Jenkins. That does not mean that he was doing any of the other stuff that they said. All she said, and thanks to the interviewer, all we know is that he threatened her for not doing something. And we don't know what that is. That could have been, I don't know, that scene with Ben Affleck, where she like, cracks his back, or whatever to, we don't know what scene it was, right? So we don't know if it's that thing where Barry lies on her, for instance, which would be much more problematic if that was the case.
Right. Yeah, we just need a little bit more context behind it. So I mean, that's basically all I gotta say.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, so we're gonna go on to Noel Clarke. Now, Noel Clarke, has been a little bit of a bad boy recently, and basically the situation with him has got it's got very interesting. I mean, I want to know what your take on this. Are you, because in America, I don't know if you know Noel Clarke really that well in America.
So I've seen his face, but to say that I know him, no, not at all, not at all.
So Noel Clarke did a bunch of movies, which I would say I'm going to show you something quickly. So yeah, Noel Clarke is a black director who did a bunch of movies that have. I hope this doesn't get me barred. It's a scene in a movie, so I hope this isn't for isn't for.
Yeah, you don't get a strike.
Isn't for young kids, by the way. So if any kids is watching this, please don't watch this. But yeah, so he's basically a black director who was doing a bunch of indie films, really surrounding like what it's like growing up being black in London, essentially, especially in like some of the gang areas or in secondary schools at the moment with kind of cyberbullying and all of this kind of stuff. And his films had a lot of what you would call like violence and sex in them, essentially. Like there's violence and sexual content in his films a lot of the time. So that's the kind of backdrop to it. And the films were, I would say, they were pretty good. They were solid movies. I mean, I wouldn't call him exactly a film genius or anything like that, but they were really, really solid films, and they're entertaining and thought-provoking, and he did a good job with them for the most part. He then went on to be in Star Trek for a little in the Star Trek film. So he rose pretty big. It was in Star Trek Into the Darkness he was in, and he was on Doctor Who, and a number of other things, as well as still continuing to make his special brand of movies. So I wanted to share with you like just one of the scenes from his movies that just to give you some context about like the sexual nature of his movies and what the kind of how would you say, like the kind of film
tone?
Yeah, the tone and the way he films his sex scenes, because this is going to come into what we're talking about with his with his career recently, what's happened with his career, or what's happened with the accusation. Sorry, I'm really bad at multitasking. I'm a man, remember. So,
Well,
so this was one of the scenes from. I'm wondering if I should just look. I'll play it. Forget it. I'm going to play it, but I'm going to try and skip some of the. Now, as far as I know, though, just to be very clear before, to give this some context, as far as I know, this woman is not one of the women who complained about anything. So this is probably one of the most explicit things he's actually done in terms of a sex scene in one of his films, with him in it, at least.
looks like, just out of looking at it, looks like anything out of something I'd seen in an American movie so far.
Right. Okay. So there you go. You see the kind of shots. Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm gonna off now. You see the kind of shots that he actually does. It's very kind of like raunchy, explicit kind of
very risque.
Stuff. But he specifically, how would you put it? That's the sex scene that he was in that I would say is the most explicit. And that particular actress, as far as I know, didn't complain about him. So now he had 20 accusations come out in The Guardian recently, and it went over a bunch of stuff. And I want you to come in fresh to it with the new accusations. So all I'll say about these accusations is that the thing that I could identify as a crime was apparently he recorded auditions in which people got nude. Women got nude in the auditions for some of his films, and apparently he recorded them and kept them and showed certain people. So apart from that, I didn't see or recognize anything that was criminal. So we'll go into the rest of the stuff now. So the article covering what he was supposed to have done, or what he's been accused of having done more recently. So let's see. So tell me what you can stop at any point, or tell me to stop at any point. Clark's new accusers allege sexual harassment on the set of Doctor Who or at promotional events for the show. He played the vehicle technical Mickey from 2005 to 2010 in Doctor Who, gaining household fame. Barrowman, who played the character of Captain Jack Harkness in Doctor Who and its spin-off show Torchwood, is accused of exposing himself repeatedly on both sets, although numerous witnesses describe the incidents as inappropriate pranks rather than anything amounting to sexual predatory behavior. Right, so that's what they're saying about one of their other co-stars. Contacted by The Guardian, Barrowman admitted to tomfoolery that he now understood upset his colleagues, but stresses it was never intended or interpreted as sexual in nature. The new allegations against the actors will intensify the ongoing debate in the British film and TV industry about the treatment of women and the behavior of men on sets. On Thursday, more than 900 members of the British entertainment industry, including the presenter Dermot O'Leary, the actor Jim Sturgis, and the former Channel 4 Commissioner Kelly Webb Lamb, signed an open letter calling for an end to this culture that turns blind eyes to predators and harassers operating in plain sight. So one thing that I want to mention here is, I don't know if you caught that, was John Barrowman, who I've never watched Doctor Who before. I don't know if you ever have. But John Barrowman is basically he was one of the actors on set, and apparently he used to do pranks like moon people or, get nude and run, through the stage or something like that. and now he's being brought up in regards to these allegations about inappropriate behavior around women on set. What do you make of that?
Um. So, well, here's the thing, right? So I remember I saw an article, and we're still staying on Noel Clark, but I just want to mention something. I saw an article way back where apparently, rest in peace, the late Robin Williams, he did something like this too. He did sexual pranks where he would whip out his wanker, and he would pat girls on the butt, but they all took it as pranks. My thing is
Wow,
when
really?
yeah,
He
yeah,
would take out his junk and like whack them on the
or
butt with.
no, he would show it, like just show it around, or he would moon people, stuff like that on
Mm,
the set. Like he did it as pranks, right? My thing
hmm.
is, this was like the mid 2000s. Now I don't know if, again, this is why we need more context. Like, why is it this? Okay, so it says 2005 to 10.
Apparently, his colleagues even said that he basically was joking. He was having a laugh. And I've been to drama school and studied theater, and I know like it's very incestuous. It's like a culture of like very heightened sexuality, very high. People get nude and do because you're doing a play. Like
Yeah,
you're gonna go backstage, get naked, and it's
I
like
remember. I remember in college, I went to a thing, and a girl, she she took off her shirt and she showed her breast, and I was like, oh. But then it was I did like the play that I saw at the college that we had, but
mhm.
but it was a shock to me, you know. So I could see what you meant about the nude thing. But so yeah, I could see what you mentioned about the new thing, because this I was in college. This was my own college. It's a city college I was going to, and they did this right in the theater in the college. So, but this was a part of the act, the play that they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, it just strikes me as I guess the thing with me about this, and I will move on after this to Noel Clark stuff, is I really think there needs to be. I don't care how far women want to take this, because in the end, it is. I understand. Like maybe it's frightening being around bigger men. We're strong. We can do certain things like in their imagination that they're kind of concerned about. But so I kind of get that, but I think you have to say here is a line, and this is it. Tell us, you need to communicate very clearly to man exactly what harassment is, because these are things that I think many men and even women have done, like do stupid nudity things or like as a joke, or like as you said, like it's just certain types of personalities do that. I have friends like that who are just like, they're the type of friend who will do like a moon to somebody or something like
Yeah,
that.
I
And
mean,
I've
like for instance,
girlfriends like that. I've got male friends like that. It's not exclusive to a gender.
right?
So if there's a level of discomfort with that kind of thing, then you can't just stay silent and then suddenly bring it up years later. We need to know exactly where this line of harassment is, so that there's clear set
But nerd,
guidelines.
I mentioned this
You know,
before. I feel like this, and I don't know if I'm gonna trigger anybody. I feel like they really need to change the term sexual harassment to selective harassment, because you're gonna wait to select this piece of information at this point. Now, let's turn the tables around. What if it was a prominent British prominent woman that's a director? There's women that do the same thing and in positions of power, but we don't know about it now, do we? Like, that's the thing. Like,
right?
like you know what I mean. Like, I just want I feel like I get it. Like, I don't want men to commit these acts and not get punished, But then my thing is, why not? If you really are, if he did it and it was inappropriate, then speak up. Then why
Yeah,
are you holding
why
back? Like
don't you just tell the person you're upset with their behavior,
take it to a third party and have them
and
investigate.
then hopefully they'll stop, right?
Right.
It sounds to me like this man was never told that this behavior even upset people. Like they were just like, ah, laughing along with him. And then years later, they're bringing it up in the context of sexual harassment and bad behavior on set. I feel like certain people, women, pardon me, have felt a taste of power of being listened to, and they're taking it too far
I
because
mean, I
in the
agree.
end, in the end what you're going to do is with this kind of talk and with this kind of when you're putting the line this far, you're going to stop men from being men,
Uh,
essentially. Because
I mean, yeah, because that's why there was a survey done that says that most managers do not want to be in an office when discussing something with a woman because they don't know, because they can literally, with the doors closed and the curtains closed, they could easily say, he told me to go under his desk, or he touched me, or he requested something. um
mm,
no, yeah, like or even when there's events, you don't want to be around women because you think you're giving them a handshake, and then they're like, well, he touched my hand in such a way that made me feel uncomfortable, but you're just shaking their hand. Like, you don't want to do normal things that you would do with a man, like give a hug, give a handshake. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, this is like, this is an attack on even just plain humor. Plain like somebody's humor, sense of humor is
and
now
gesture.
appropriate. So what I mean by that is that with this nudity thing, I think, yeah, okay, you should be able to say, I'm uncomfortable with that, I don't want to have to see that, and the person then stops, right? If it was a joke, presumably. If they continue doing it, then it's no longer a joke. It's like that's something that becomes serious. But I'm more concerned about even like just male jokes about like stupid things, right? That we talk about with friends, right? We don't mean them. We're just saying it. We're trying to be a little bit, politically incorrect for a moment, even though we don't believe
I mean,
that
the
thing.
locker room talk.
Yeah, locker room talk. And it's like, and that locker room talk I used to have with women, with men. Now women are coming out saying, "Oh, I found that was inappropriate." Anyway, let's go on to Noel Clark, because this kind of what I'm talking about now kind of comes into what I'm saying about Noel Clark. So, and there is also the issue of him being a black male, which I want to bring up a bit later as well. So I like girls. Okay, so let's see. Saying it stood against all forms of inappropriate behavior and shocked by it to hear of the allegations. So I like girls with long hair. It gives me something to hold on to. Joanne Hayes was a costume assistant on series 1 of the revived Doctor Who, shot in 2004. She alleges that Clark sexually harassed her in his trailer in August 2004 after she assisted him with his costume. After a brief work-related conversation, she said Clark told her that he liked girls with long hair as it gives him something to hold on to when doing them from behind. Hayes, who had very long hair that came to her mid back, said she made to leave the trailer because she felt uncomfortable. At this point, she alleges Clark repeated the comment, sucked his teeth, exhaled heavily, and laughed. Clark's lawyers said he strongly denies the allegation and said the incident described did not take place. All right, let's start off with that. There's a lot to unpack there. Do I believe Clark might have said this? Probably. We have nothing of the conversation that was happening before.
Exactly.
We have nothing of the conversation that was happening after, or like their relationship. This is just a random thing, and people have to be scared about this. Both women and men have to be terrified of this kind of use of journalism and use of, because once you put all of these things together and you pack them together in one neat little article, and you take little snippets of what somebody said once in life, it can paint anybody to look monstrous. If people literally did this with me, I would look like, they could make me look like a complete predator. Just take a single thing I said to a woman at some point, which had a
And
lot of context, which had a lot of, which had a relationship that went with it, and they just took that sentence out. It could look very, very bad. I mean, what do you say?
um, the thing is like, if he did say that, then she must have said something too that would make him, because you don't just give a response out of the, yeah, because I could say, oh, I like girls with that are bald because it's easier to grasp their shiny head, like, like I could say something like that, but there definitely had to be, like you said, context behind it. And my problem with this is like, when why is it now that your people are digging through your past to bring you down, no matter who you like? And like, I would hope as you get older, the errors of your mistakes, so it's now you're getting vilified for things you did. She said 2004, this is 2021, that's 17 years ago. That's a decade. Like, this
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So like, I
I mean,
just
fair with him. I compare this to the Marilyn Manson case, and I'm like, those accusations were so serious, of what he potentially or allegedly did, that you needed those to come out, right? And what I'm struggling with Noel Clark is, sounds like he could be a bit of a bully, sounds like he could have a bit of a presence to him, but it also sounds like he could be just like a really kind of flirtatious guy as well. And at times he tries to like push the line, a little bit, because the truth is, about certain women, with certain women, like, it's, put it this way: men who are wealthy and or have a good job or something like that, and are approaching women, um, sometimes, they're rewarded for behavior like this. I wouldn't do something. I don't talk like this in general, but like, you know, uh, when you're rewarded for being quite candid about sex, like with women, right? Yeah, so you can have like a very candid, discussion with a woman about sex. She'll be having a conversation with you about sex as well. So it's like a back and forth, right? And then this is actually seen as a kind of mode of like flirting, right? Or showing your I don't know, like, again, I wouldn't say something like this, so I'm just like trying to give like some context or understanding of, I've hung out with men who are like this, who end up with a woman, like going home with a woman every fucking day or week or whatever. Like they you know
this is a habit for them
they're extremely successful using certain approaches where they're brash, they're upfront,
with nerd.
they
That
don't, they don't kind of like sheepishly try and hide their motivations. And yes, it is true that many women also say like aren't interested, but they're playing a numbers game, and usually like there is like a few women who are interested in this kind of brash behavior and reward men for that type of brash behavior. So they must think in their mind that this is a form of flirtation that might work with women. Go
well,
on, sorry.
well, nerd. This goes back to and I definitely want to coin that term because I feel that that's a term that needs to be put in with the times that we're in. Um, because like you just said, this guy is bringing home all these girls acting this way. Now, let's take Poison Kate and point in case. Like, let's say, for instance, let's just use um let's just use an obese guy and you, right? You're a pretty good looking black male, and then there's this obese uh fat black guy, right? But he's a nice guy. He's just overweight, right? You do your thing. It's cute, it's flirtatious. He does his thing. Oh my god, you're harassing me. That I mean, and it's the same sort of thing you just did, but because you're good looking, she's gonna bypass it, or your personal like it's I feel as if you cannot you, it's like you're checking off boxes. Like I feel like a female now is checking off: is he good looking, is he strong, is he this. It's like you're, as soon as you walk up, they're doing an application of you, like looking over your resume visually before they can say
Is it
accept
harassment
it.
or not?
Yeah,
But
right.
the thing, to be fair to this woman, this guy is in a position of power. She is in his trailer while she's doing a fitting for him, which is a very vulnerable place for a woman to be
but
in.
but nerd.
And he effectively is one of her bosses, or he's higher up in the pecking order than her, and he's talking to her in this kind of manner. Is it appropriate,
But
really,
nerd,
to be doing that?
nerd.
Is also a question, to be fair to the woman.
I
Yeah,
mean, with I I I went over a sexual harassment course while I was at a job in 2018, and I no, I'm sorry, 2019, and I didn't know that you couldn't, if you develop a relationship with a coworker and you had like conversations, that they can. I honestly, generally didn't know that, because I thought I developed a good rapport with them that I could talk about this stuff. But the thing is like,
mm,
this is gonna sound really harsh, but people want to see a black man fall. If you have information like this, you could destroy a black man's career. Like my thing is, w- let's and I don't want to go into your next topic, but what if this was a white guy that did this? Are people gonna
yeah,
speak up
yeah.
17 years later?
Yeah. Well, again, I think all of that comes into the context of assessing all of this kind of information. So let's move on to the next thing, because I know you haven't got that much time. So Hayes said she did not, but I agree with a lot of what you just said there, by the way. I'm just trying to hurry up. But Hayes said that she did not report the incident to her bosses because at that time the culture was very different. However, she said, so the culture was different. Okay. So however, she did. She said the experience left her feeling uneasy near him, and she avoided him as best she could. Another woman, Jenna, not her real name, was a runner and driver at the early seasons of the revived Doctor Who, shot in the mid 2000s. As part of her role, she was required to drive Clark to and from the set. During the car journey, she alleges Clark touched her inappropriately. She said he would touch her hand when it was on the gear stick and grabbed her leg when she was driving. Okay. Constantly, the conversation was about sex, Jenna said, adding that Clark repeatedly asked her to go to his hotel room for sex, asked her sexually inappropriate questions, and made sexually explicit and graphic remarks to her. She said she complained to an assistant director on the BBC show, and as a result, was put on different duties. Okay. She recalled telling the assistant director, "I can't drive him anymore. I don't want to be on my own with him." She said she did not know whether senior executives were at the time also aware of Clark's conduct. After Clark realized that Jenna was no longer his driver, she alleges he turned nasty, telling her, "You think you're better than people," and becoming obstructive and difficult. A fellow crew member who witnessed Clark's behavior towards Jenna described it as bullying. So Clark strongly denied the allegations. His lawyers and said any suggestion that he would be allowed to behave that way because his perceived power was entirely implausible, because he was near the start of his career. They said if Jenner had reported such behavior to an assistant director at the BBC, Clark would have been spoken to or reprimanded. They said Clark was not aware of any complaint in relation to his alleged behavior being made against him at any time. They added, it beggars belief that the corporation would have allowed Clark to behave the way she alleges. I'm going to read one more and then we'll respond to both of these. Monica, not her real name, so somebody who's coming in as anonymous, another former runner on Doctor Who, alleges Clark sexually harassed her and another female co-worker in a bar, the Holland House Hotel, in the mid-2000s in Cardiff following a work event. When the women rejected Clark's advances, she alleges he became rude and aggressive. The following day, she said Clark spread false rumors about both women on set. Clark strongly denied the accusations. As Doctor Who actor who asked to remain anonymous, has told The Guardian she was also sexually harassed by Clark in the early seasons of the show. He made advances on me, she said, regularly asking me if I wanted a piece of his dark chocolate. When she rejected his advances, the actor said Clark badmouthed her to people in the industry. So again, these are like anonymous now. These are getting into some kind of anonymous allegations, and they're more troubling. They're a little bit more troubling, in the sense of him coming after and apparently kind of bullying or gaslighting them. What do you make of these? I also, but I would say that I don't know why the women are being anonymous, considering given the conditions and circumstances nowadays. I don't
I don't
see any
believe them.
reason why they should be anonymous or feel the need to be anonymous.
I don't believe them. You want to know why?
Okay.
Um, so here in New York, we had Governor Cuomo who was leading the whole epicenter thing, and the people that accused him, they came on TV and showed themselves. If you're coming anonymous, then to me, you're saying that you're afraid of backlash if things don't go your way.
Mm.
Because if you're gonna go full head on with this, you're gonna put yourself out in the public. You're gonna take whatever they throw at you, um, and that shows more courage to me, right? Because you're trying to handle this. You feel like this is strong enough where you're gonna take the backlash. So, and why they're changing their names, why they're anonymous. Again, where's the context? What was the conversation? Like the thing is, if he said this thing, did she said, "Hey, you want to mess with my vanilla boobies or something?" Like my like my coconut vanilla jugs. Like who? What was the context of the conversation that they were having? Like and they don't put any of this stuff in here. Did she touch him either? That could have been a thing. Like, I'm not trying to defend them, but like, we need some more than just this. And then it's just like we're just getting to that side. Like, I always look at things from both sides, and I'm only getting this side, and I need another side before I can make judgment.
Mm. I mean, I think the thing that's really interesting for me about this whole thing, and I'll leave it at this. There's many more allegations. There's about 20 women, similar kind of thing. The only criminal behavior, as I said, that I've been able to see was the apparent recording of nude auditions. The rest of it is more of this stuff, him flirting in ways that might be considered inappropriate with people he works with, and that is something that for any black men out there, for any even white males, young, you have to be concerned about this. Don't think that people are just your friends and like you can be just friendly and open like you are.
Right.
You might be in their minds crossing the line. So just in professional settings, just don't do it. Just stay neutral.
Just
Um,
make sure you have a recording with you. Always record yourself. I know that sounds ridiculous, but because then you could be like, Play button. You said.
Yeah.
You said. You said. What did I say? I think this is you talking, right? This is your voice.
Hmm.
And if you're
Well,
out there, bring a record
that
button.
would
Bring your
be,
tape.
that would be very difficult to do for most people. But yeah, it would be nice.
Smartphone.
It would be nice if
Smartphone record.
we should all men should be wearing body cams from now on.
Body cams. I mean, but I just yeah.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Since they're getting the police to do that, maybe we should do that as well. But I mean, I will say this that I find it weird, and I want to see what happens. I'm. This is a wait and see. I mean, I believe if 20 women come out and say, 20 plus women come out and say this kind of stuff, that where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's something to this. But I'm not willing to condemn him. Again,
Neither.
he is innocent until proven guilty.
Guilty. Yep.
And I don't like the kind of trial by media that's been happening with him. I mean, obviously, if you get this kind of information and you're a journalist, you're gonna put it out there because that's your job, in a way. But like, there should be kind of restrictions, legally, about what these journalists can put out there, before somebody is actually convicted, officially, of something. I think there should be much more limitations. I know there's freedom of speech and all of that. I mean, although that's not guaranteed in our constitution in the UK, but in general, I think as a principle, that is a good idea, but not when it comes by impacting somebody's career and completely. Because if all of this turns out to be wrong, the problem is they're not going to retract. They're not going to do a retraction. They're not going to put out article after article until they rehabilitate this person's,
Image.
image, right? They're not going to do that. But they will be more than gung ho at destroying and bringing the person down. So you need those kind of convictions for me. And I think, especially with black males, I again, I did a video on Woody Allen, and the allegations against him. And I said, this is my worry about cancel culture. Eventually, this is going to catch up with black men. I mean, like with the culture, some of the culture that we have as well. We go to parties, we go to clubs, we dance with women. We go up to, it's part of, the path of, of just being young, and kind of, single and whatever.
Well,
That if you, and especially if you're wealthy and you get rich, you get that big head, like, yeah, like finally, like, women are
right.
checking for stuff like that, that you might do things that you just think are all in fun and just playful, and it ends up really being a big problem
Harmful.
for certain people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not willing to condemn him at all.
Me neither.
I see that kind of evidence put forth, or kind of process of investigation, really. Yeah, I mean, I think that's all I kind of. Oh, that was it. The final thing I wanted to say is that it strikes me as weird that a guy who's made films about cyberbullying and bullying, and he's even mentioned things like sexual assault and has come down very hard on it in his movies, would be doing this type of behavior. That's what I find really weird. Like, was he really just hiding in plain sight?
Wolf
Like,
in sheep's clothing.
yeah.
Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, a wolf in sheep's clothing, exactly. Was he just doing this all the time, while in fact, he was, very much doing the behavior himself that he displays in his films as negative behavior. So that's going to be an interesting question. But apart from that, that's really all I have to say on this matter so far. I'll do follow-ups about Noel Clarke as the information comes in. Warren, anything last to say?
I want to continue following up. I want to get more like witnesses, more context behind this stuff before I pass judgment on this man. And the real question that I would love to ask all these accusers is why come out now? Now, like you coming out, and if that was like, I have to bring up a point, and I'll end it with this. If that was the culture, then there was multiple men that probably really did that on the set. Why aren't you going after them too?
Mm-hmm. True.
So
True.
that's
True.
where I'm gonna end it at.
All right. So thanks so much for joining me today, Warren. Again, as per usual, great insights into this. And yeah,
Anytime.
we'll keep our eye on both situations. But yep. All right. That's gonna be me. But please do like, subscribe. For more, I'm going to be doing my Sunday super streams today. I've watched Star Wars for the first time, so I'm going to give you my impressions of Star Wars
Oh, Bad
later.
Batch.
And we'll be talking about some of the Flash leaked script and talking about that as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
Definitely want to be around for the Flash stuff, so let me know.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
And the
today. I know you've got like yourself a little bit of
yeah,
a hot day.
I'm a little preoccupied on a Mother's Day, which is a little bit. I know everybody's like scratching my head when I tell them this, but I'm like, I couldn't get Saturday, so I was stuck with today.
Well, good luck. Good luck to you today.
Thanks.
Keep
Yeah,
your body cam on.
I'm gonna have my body cam and my phone on record. So
All right, man. Guys, like, subscribe, comment. Love the comments, and I always reply to the comments. And apart from that, see you on the flip side. And I love you 3000. Peace.
yep. Take care.